so I record it. With that being said, I'll pretty much always tell you when to use something. So I would say use law of signs. So you would know what you're using. You would look at your letters and say, oh, A's and B's. So let's kind of figure out our law of signs, what we're plugging into. Once again, technically when we wrote it, there was a C section, but I don't care about the C's right now because we don't have any C's to even put in. And then we just say, all right, well, we'll kind of just do what we've been doing, which is just plug in what we know and find what we don't know. So this is the reason this one's a little different. When I start to plug in, I say, oh, okay, I have side A, that's 13. I don't know angle A. So this is a little different because in the other ones, we always looked for a side and had the angles. And this one, we have all the sides and we're looking for an angle. So we'll just kind of write it and see what happens. Over on the right side here, we've got side B is 42. It's an aggressive side, but we'll go with it. And then we have sine and angle B is 142. I'll give you a second to setting yourself up. So the difference now is we're looking for an angle, whereas in the past the angles were always given to us. But the nice thing about law of signs is you always do the same stuff. You're going to cross multiply. Okay, that's not new to us. So I'm going to cross here and get 13 times sine of 142 degrees. I put an equal in the middle and I cross the other way. Okay. All right, so that wasn't any different from what we've been doing. I want to find A, right? So I kind of need to get this by itself. So I do want to get rid of that 42, just like we've done before. I'm going to divide. And at this point, I am going to throw that in my calculator and just kind of see what I get. I was in my calculator over here. It's going to make my life easier. Okay. So I'm going to do 13 times sine of 142 divided by 42. And I get some some decimals and fractions. 0.19056. I don't know. I'll just go out a few decimal places. But remember, that's not A. That equals sine A. So back in the day, like this was a while ago. This might have even been like October style. We had done problems like this where we were solving for an angle. And anytime, because we just want A, right? We don't want sine A. Anytime you're solving for an angle, you're going to use the inverse. The inverse. And when I say inverse, when you think about sine, it looks like that little sign to the -1. That helps you find an angle. So to find angle A, we're going to do the inverse sine of 0.19056. And that will give us our good old answer here. And it comes out to 10.98. I'm just going to round it to 11. And since it's an angle, there is a degree. So the really only new part, because you're just throwing it in, you're cross multiplying, all that stuff is the same. But once you kind of get to this part and you're like, well, I just want A, I don't want sine of A. The only new thing to remember, or at least write down, is to find an angle, you're going to do the inverse sine. That's about as crazy as they're going to get. So I'll give you a second. Oh my goodness. Let's see if you anything. But the main idea of law of signs is always the same. Plug in what you know, cross multiply to solve for what you don't know. But if you do see that you're solving for an angle, you're using the inverse sign. And then you're good. I should open the windows today. Oh, it's still only 39 degrees. We'll wait. I'm just giving people a minute. I'm not just, I just don't want to rush you. Oh my God. Okay, friends, this is so fun. So let me see, I'm just checking. Let's try another one. Woo. And then we'll kind of put everything together at the end, but we'll just focus on this one new step today. Tomorrow we'll just do something random that's not trig related. On Thursday we might just do a little practice, and then Friday we are going to have just a few of each problem, nothing too crazy, probably like 6 problems total. And we'll just see how we're doing. And you can use all your notes and all that fun stuff. So just try to stay semi-organized. I'm gonna change the angle. What do I need? So I have angle C is 21 degrees. Okay. Side C is 25 feet. And the side B is 18 feet. And I'm going to say, try to find angle B. So before we start, and we think about law of sines, so you can have it right in your notebook or wherever you're looking at it, I just think, oh, well, I see B's and C's. So I like to kind of organize my just formula first. I'm going to do B over sine B equals C over sine C. So it just as like a more visual person, I like to write it down because I know where everything's going. But once again, I don't really care about the A part because we don't have any A's. We're going to plug in what we know. So I know side B is 18. I don't know angle B, so I'll just leave it as that uppercase B. I know that side C is 25. And I know that angle C, is 21 degrees. Now, a reminder, if you're taking like that little notebook quiz on Friday, doing that gets you points. So always do something. Please don't ever leave stuff blank. I mean, some of you just write stuff down, just hoping like I'll show mercy on you. Try to write something that makes sense. Like you should be able to get to that part. And then no matter what you're doing for law of sines, you kind of always solve it the same way as well. So you're always going to cross multiply. You have 18 times sine of 21 degrees. So that was one cross. Equal in the middle. Cross the other way. All right, so now we have our nice little setup. Our main goal is we really want to get this by itself, right? So I'll eventually do the inverse to get that b by itself, but I need to move that 25. But similar to what we've been doing, we kind of divide by what's in front. And then I'm throwing this part in my calculator. I actually brought it with me today, this time. 18 times sine of 21 divided by 25 gives me, I just go out a few, or I just kind of use what's in the calculator, but 0.258. I'm just going to say 0.258. There you go. Good enough. So it's like 0.2580 something equals sine B. So don't stop here and be like, oh, that's my angle. Like our angle is not going to be 0.258. That's super small. So the last step, and like the only really new thing compared to what we've been doing, is anytime you are trying to solve for an angle, when you're trying to solve for B, you're going to do the inverse sine of 0.258. That will give you your final answer. It comes out to 14.95. I'm filling rounding just to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to say 15, and since it is an angle, there is a degree symbol. So that, my friends. So everything kind of looks similar to what we were doing yesterday and the day before, or whenever that was. The real only new thing is since we are solving for an angle in the end, you will have to do the inverse sine to find the angle. So please make sure, once again, you have a calculator and you know how to use it. I just want to look at that Desmos one online. I'm just going to look at it quick. I'm going through the link on your Google Classroom. I just want to make sure it's on there. Hang on, I can show you. Yeah, where would I find that? Oh, okay. I'll show you how to do it on that on the online calculator in a few minutes. Just so if you are at home, you have access to it. If you're in class, I have a calculator, so you can always use one of mine. You can always ask a question. Using those inverses, that's a real life skill you're gonna use a lot. Yeah, Corey, what's up? Yeah, go ahead. All right, let's do one more together. I'm gonna have you guys try one and then we'll just see timing. And then once again, after or during this next one, I'm gonna show you that online Desmos calculator in case if you don't have a scientific one. That's okay. The phone ones are kind of a pain, I'm gonna be honest. So if you wanna use your phone one, you can, but at home, I just don't find them very user-friendly usually. Excuse me. And then if you have another piece of technology and you don't know how to use it, you let me know and I will help you. So I'm trying to figure out which, I have two problems left, which one do I want to talk about? All right, I'm sorry, I was trying to stall just so if you're still writing, you have time. So I just ramble on and on and on. Forever and ever.
Because I had that for saving.
Sorry, I know I stand like directly in the way, but it's just easier to write that way. Okay. One more and then you guys are gonna try one. Okay, so I organize my brain first. I have A's and B's. So I'm thinking of just about log signs. A over sine A equals B over sine B. Just so I know where I'm plugging into. So I like to kind of always write that just to remind myself. So let's throw in what we know. Once again, once you see one or two of these, you're like, dude, I'm just doing the same thing every time. And you're right, you are doing the same thing every time. You're just changing a few numbers here and there. The setup is the same. So I'll throw my B's in on the right side. So it's kind of just that step, getting it to the point where your numbers are in there for that specific problem. And that's the same way. You cross multiply, you divide, and in this case, we're going to take the inverse. So I like to write my steps out. If you're just kind of doing it in a calculator, that's fine as well. So I have 34 times sine of 77 equal in the middle. And we have 40 times sine A. Okay. Our main goal is we really need to get this by itself so then I can do that inverse. So I always want to get rid of that number in front, and I'm going to do that by just dividing. Similar to what we were doing before. And at this point I have it kind of set up, so I'm going to throw that in my calculator. I have no clue what that comes out to, so I put it in. I get 0.828, so I'll go out 3 decimal places just to kind of equals sine A. And then once again, since I really just want A, I don't want what sine A is. To find A, I'm going to do the inverse sine of 0.828. So let me show you that on the Desmos calculator in case you don't have one handy at home. It should come out to, it's 55.89. I'm just going to run to 56. Because it's great when you have technology handy, but sometimes you might not have a scientific calculator. Or, I don't know, you just don't want to go buy one. I don't really blame you at this point in your life, but a calculator is something you actually do use. As much as I know some of you hate that. And then I do things like bills and spending money on ridiculous things. I do use my calculator quite a bit, guys.
I thought it was a negative sign.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was just saying. So I'm gonna throw up that calculator, give me 1 second. Or I'm just giving people a second at home to kind of like, and then it's always like a puzzle how to get it done on the board. So I do this. Okay, so I'm just gonna throw this up quick, and then I can go back if you're still. And yes, alright, so just so you guys, because you guys will be at home at the end of the week, if you don't have a nice calculator here, I just want to show you how to do it. So in our Google Classroom, if you kind of scroll down, there is this like random form that they wanted people to fill out about student diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so if you had a minute, they just asked us to post it. It's not for me, so Trig chart, our favorite. But if I kind of scroll down more, it says don't have a scientific calculator. This website can help, so I want to click on it. So let's say I was doing that last problem, and I had to do the inverse sine of 0.585, I think, or 0.828. I don't know why I got that one. I don't see, I see sine, but I don't see inverse sine. So what you notice here, there's like these different buttons. So if you need something that you don't see, it's probably under one of those. So if I hit ABC, that doesn't help me, that's just things. But if I hit function, we do see an inverse right here. So if you're at home, feel free to use the inverse sine of 0.828. And then I just press enter, but it just pops up when you put it in, 55.89, you rounded it to 56. So Desmos is a great resource. If you're like going on to, and you take college classes at some point and you need a graphing calculator, Desmos has one of those as well. I actually use it all the time. It's actually way easier than my actual graphing calculator. It's just more user friendly. So use it because it's free. And it basically has everything that like the $100 calculators have. But it's there. And they have their own apps too, so you can get like the Desmos app. So answers might be helpful too in the future. But once again, when you log in and you don't see it and you're like, oh crap, there are some different like menus up here. So function has all different fun stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what some of these mean. Oh no, standard deviation. Some of these are for stats. Some of them are for like pre-calc. We care about our good old trig functions, but now we see you have the good old 3 and then their inverses. But I just wanted you to know that if you're stuck at home and you're like, oh crap, I don't have a scientific calculator, then that is there for you. It is your friend. It will do the work for you. Once again, your answer pops up right over here. So use it. And once again, if you scroll down in our Google Classroom, everyone does the same. It just says it right here. This website can help. It's called Desmos. So that's that. And that's it. So I just wanted to show you that. So if you're at home, you're like, crap, I don't know how to do this. There you go. So let me give you guys one to try, and then we're gonna kind of wrap it up after that. So it always takes a few minutes to do everything. So I'm gonna give you a little bit to do it. We are gonna go over it, and then the people at home, you will submit your stuff. I know you're gonna put it in Google Classroom. I will put the stuff up at the moment once we get started. It just makes it just makes everything a little more organized for my brain. A lot going on up there. So we will do that. Nothing really out of the ordinary. And then I have to find something. Maybe we'll just do like a game tomorrow. I'm feeling just like I just need a break day. But we gotta do something semi-decent. All right, so here's the one you guys are attempting. So remember, if you just sit there and stare at a wall for 5 minutes, I guess that's cool. But it would be of better use to you to actually try it, so that if you know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can ask a question. Because I'm always happy to help you. I'm getting blinded by the light here. Okay, so to the best of your ability, you should at least be able to say, well, I have A's and B's, and I plug it into the, whatever it's called, log sign. And then once it's in log signs, can you do your best to try to solve for that missing angle? And I'm gonna set up the Google Classroom for the people at home so we can use it. Who did it today? A few more minutes, we are gonna go over it. But people at home, if you wanna start like as you're finishing up, if you are uploading, that's fine. So I'll give you the heads up after we go over it. Say that in a minute. Ish.
Is sure one
What's up?
undefined?
Is?
Yeah. I don't know if I did
I
something.
don't think it is. Hold on, let me check. You doing your calculator?
Yeah.
Let me come up. I don't think it should be. It should be 20.
I'm gonna
Oh, put my hand and just put it on. Let's see, is it 11 over sine A equals 23? Oh, you forgot the sign there.
Oh.
You know, it should be sine 67, so then I probably messed up your answer, that's why. I've done that before too, you start writing. All right, my friends. Let's go over this one and then we'll kind of wrap it up from here. So I'm focusing on A's and B's. So I've organized myself first. And now I plug in what I know. So I have 11 over sine just of A, because that's what I'm looking for, equals 24 over sine of 67 degrees. Okay, so I have my setup. You just like go into your regular little steps here. So we have 11 times sine of 67 degrees equal in the middle. And I cross the other way, and I will get 24 times sine of A. Main goal is we want to get this by itself so I can then do the inverse. So I'm going to divide by 24. Divide by 24. And at that point, I kind of do my calculator just to get that left side and see what it is. What do we get? Comes out to like 0.038. Remember, that's not my answer. My answer, I want an angle. We would never have an angle that small. That would be kind of crazy. But to get what A is, I'm going to do the inverse sine of that decimal. And in the end, it comes out to, that's not right. What did I do wrong? Hold on, I did something wrong somewhere because that is not the answer. Oh my God, where did I get 0.038 from? I'm sorry, it's 0.421. Oh my gosh. I must have plugged something in wrong, or I'm gonna say 0.422. I knew it wasn't right because it was a super small decimal. So I'm just kind of logically checking myself. Okay, that makes more sense. 24.9, so we're gonna say 25 degrees. Whew. Sorry about that. I don't know what I did. Yeah. What can you do, guys? Everyone makes mistakes. Huh. All right, so peeps at home, you are starting to upload your, whatever that is, your work for the day. I'll give you a heads up when I see it. Ooh, some of you are on the game doing it quick. And you can kind of sign up, but I like to give myself a few minutes here because I know these people, sometimes our computers and our phones are just annoying. So Taylor, Jordan, Lexi, Chris, and Connor, you guys are all set right now. I'm trying to keep checking. Hold on. Oops, I just clicked the total wrong thing. People here, I'll be around in 1 second to get you. Danny, you're all set? Have a lovely day. Thank you. Sorry, keep checking. God bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Casey, you're all set. You can sign in. I'm just gonna walk around and check the people in class. And I'll be back in a moment.